One day, this is all we're going to be. Just a skeleton. It'll be a little bit bigger than this one, but you get my point. All over. Just bones.
What do you mean? You got plenty of time left. Stop talking crazy.
It's not so crazy. Let's go to the whiteboard and I'll draw it out for you. To really get something to sink into your head, I find it really helpful to draw it out on a piece of paper, map it out, or on a whiteboard in this case. I think it's really helpful to visualize something and understand it by putting it on paper or on a whiteboard. So this is something you heard 1,000 times by 1,000 people, but here we go again. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. And I got here the sun, T minus 5 billion. We got about 5 billion years left on the sun before it goes, it expands, destroys everything, and everything's gone. So everything's over. What we have here on the board is the window. This is your slice of the pie. This is how much you get out of all the time that we've had up till now and all the time that we're going to have up until the time when everything ends. This is your window. My window, everybody watching this is all you get. The window is comprised of 10 decades. 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, and so on. Let's talk briefly about each decade, okay, and break it down. So the first one is 0 to 10, the fun, worry-free years. Anything that happens to you in this time period is not your fault. You're a kid. This is the time when everything's fun, carefree. You don't have to really think about anything. It should be fun. If it's not fun for whatever reason, that's terrible. But generally speaking, these are the fun, carefree years that you're just getting started, right? Learning the basics of life and getting going. Next we have in the number 2 slot is 11 to 20. I got this called the genius years, because when you turn into a teenager, you become genius. You got it all figured out. You know everything. Older people don't know anything. You know what I'm talking about, right? And you move into adulthood in this decade. This should be the time when you're learning stuff and gaining skills. This is the decade that I tried to get all 4 of my kids to really appreciate how much free time they have, and that this is going to be the easiest part of their life ever, where they have so much free time to learn whatever they want, an instrument, a sport, whatever. This is the time they can do it, right? They're not working yet. They're still in school. School, by the way, easiest job you're ever going to have compared to everything else that you're going to encounter in life. But yeah, so this decade is where, a lot of kids are really confident and maybe overconfident, and they're still not thinking much about the future. Of course, with all of this, there's outliers, right? There's rare people that get switched on in early decades and know everything that they want to do. But this is generally speaking, these are the general breakdowns of the window that we all have. Next is 21 to 30. This is getting real. Okay. Now you could still be in university, or you could just be working, and you're completely on your own. You're a full-fledged adult. Parents aren't around, or at least you're not living with them usually. And remember, there's exceptions to the rule, right? So, yeah, things are getting around. Now, some people in this decade start having kids, and I'm one of those. But generally speaking, in today's modern era, no one's doing that. It's career, it's school, it's dating aggressively, all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, still in the 3rd decade, people still aren't thinking too much about time and how much they have and using it to the best of their ability and not wasting it, right? Then we get into number 4, 31 to 40. Kids, no kids. So again, generally speaking, this is when people decide whether they're going to have kids or not have kids, for the most part. And you spend this decade in early childhood rearing. You're raising kids, you're hustling, you're working, busy, 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 right? Everyone's busy. And hopefully you start to think about the timeline and appreciating your time, but we don't know. It depends on the individual. So for me, this decade was a blur. Next is number 6. No, sorry, number 5. I made a mistake. Number 5, 41 to 50, midlife crisis. I think this is where people generally start having a midlife crisis. This is probably where you start thinking about stuff. What's the meaning of everything? Where's this all going? Kids are getting a bit older. They're into the teens now. Maybe you have adult kids by this time, depending on how early you started. But the midlife crisis where you start questioning things, right? I don't know of a head of midlife crisis. I can't really remember an existential kind of crisis where I was like having a feeling of dread or everything. I've kind of been thinking about the timeline and this whole thing for many years, so I don't know exactly when it started. Number 6 is 51 to 60. That's the one I happen to be in right now. This is near and dear to my heart. It's kind of special. Thinking about Act 3. Okay, you're thinking about the end, because you're over halfway through. You've used up a lot of time so far. In my particular case, kids are all adults now, and I'm thinking like, where's this going to go? How long have I got left? I better do things that I love doing and like this, and just making the most of my time while I'm still fit and healthy. Okay. Number 7, 61 to 70, retire, question mark. Will you retire here? Do you want to retire? Can you retire? I probably can't when I get to, at least not in the early part of this decade. Number 7, for various reasons we won't get into right now. But one other point here is you don't have to feel obligated to retire. If you want to keep working, keep doing whatever you want to do, basically. You've served your time. You can stop working if you want. If you can't, don't feel bad about it. A lot of people can't. But if you don't want to, don't feel obligated just because you get to a certain age, you're supposed to stop. If you don't want to stop, don't stop. But we're getting into the late stages here, right? 61 to 70. You're definitely well on your way, okay? Decade number 8, 71 to 80, tire wear. I've made an analogy with tires, like on your car. Maybe the treads are getting a little bit low. Maybe wire is showing. Maybe you're about to blow the sidewall out. You don't know. The point here is at 71 to 80, things are going to start to break down a little bit physically, health-wise. Generally speaking, something's going to start wearing out and maybe giving you problems. So, and also in this decade, you start to become you maybe become a lot more limited in what you could do. Some of the things that you've maybe have put off in the previous decades, you can't even do it anymore. You don't even have the option anymore. So number 8, 71 to 80, you can kind of rely on getting there. That's kind of the average age in North America right now, by the last figures I looked at. But you can't bet on it. None of these are guaranteed, right? None of them are guaranteed. But it's quite possible you don't get much out of number 8. You could be gone early in that one, or you could make it to the end. I don't know, but you can't rely on it. Number 9, 81 to 90, mechanical failure. Something's going to break for sure. If you're an average person, or even if you're above average, something still is going to break here. And I got these last 2 decades in red because they're very sketchy. It's probably unlikely you're going to get too deep into this one. It's just a fact. It's just science. It's life. So I got them in red because don't even bet on seeing these at all. And 91 to 100, probably not. Enough said on that one. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? So what we have here is your entire window of life And right now I'm here. I've used up 5 full segments and I'm working on segment number 6. And I'm way more than half, according to my family health history anyway. I'm way more than half through my window. So I got to make hay while the sun shines. And the earlier you start thinking about the timeline, thinking about how much time you have, how limited it is, you start thinking about it like a budget. Like you don't want to blow your budget. You got to use your time wisely. So my question to you is, what are you doing now with your time right now? And another thing is, I'm not throwing shade on anybody in any of these age groups. I've been to a lot of them, and I hopefully will be in some of them in the future. So we're all the same. We're all in this together. We're all working on the same window here. So no shade. If you're watching this and you're an older person, please don't take offense to anything I said. You may be 90 years old and running a marathon, right? So, but this is the window right here, encapsulated on this whiteboard. This is all we have. Use your time wisely and keep this in mind. Take a screenshot if you want. It might be helpful. All right. See you next time.